I'm pregnant. I go to my doctor. I'm like, I would like to do pelvic floor therapy. And she's immediately like, you don't need that. Why would you need that?
The pelvic heaviness was there. You went on to pee your pants throughout pregnancy. I wish this wasn't common, but it actually is so common.
I don't think that there's anything more important than investing in yourself, especially when you are the main person who has to support your family. Like, if you can't support yourself, then you're not doing your best to support them, and it's kind of like a domino effect.
Welcome back to the What About Mom podcast. I have a guest here today who's actually one of our clients and has been a client with us for a while, Nicole. She's initially joined us in pregnancy in our Pelvic Floor and Core Restore program and has since moved on to our level 2 Strong Mom Era journey. And I just want to get inside your brain. I am so inspired by you and your journey and your dedication and what it's really taken you to get this far. And I just know so many moms need to kind of see through the lens a little bit and get through their own fear, their own doubt, or whatever that may mean for them. So I'm excited for you to be here today and shine light on that.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about this with you.
Yay, absolutely. Well, I'd love to kind of just like bring it all the way back. If you just take yourself back to pregnancy, I know that's quite a while down the road now, but when you initially reached out, tell me like what was the trigger moment for you? You were pregnant. What was that moment where you're like, forget it, I'm reaching out to Jessica and her team?
Yeah, so it actually starts a little bit before that for me, because when I was pregnant with my second child, I ended up having like an unexpected scheduled C-section. And after that, like it's just a lot. Like they don't tell you anything and you're just healing and it's a mess. And then it was also like COVID times, so like it was hard to like see anybody anywhere. And then that was 2021. And then so after I kind of like dealt with that birth and everything, I was like, I think I do want to have a third baby. And so my promise to myself was that if we had a third baby, that I would definitely do pelvic floor therapy during my pregnancy. And so I get pregnant. I'm pregnant. I go to my doctor. I'm like, I would like to do pelvic floor therapy. And she's immediately like, you don't need that. Why would you need that? What are you talking about? So I
Wild.
felt very dismissed. Um, and then it's going along, and I am like 20 weeks pregnant, and I get sick with this awful cough that my body was like coughing so violently. It was awful. But that's when I started peeing my pants a little bit, and that had not happened to me up until that point. I experienced like pelvic heaviness, which was like the real reason I was like, oh, I really would like to do pelvic floor therapy if I have another baby. Which, I mean, I probably should have done it even if I wasn't having another baby, but that's like a whole nother thing.
You start when you start. That's the most important piece.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was like, to me, that was like the immediately like, no, I'm not living this way thing, where I was like, this is the sign that I need to get on the calendar and get this scheduled and get this started.
Yeah, it's like I'm like listening to this and I'm like viscerally upset for you that your doctor, like a freaking doctor that is specializing in pregnant mamas, is saying that pelvic floor therapy is not helpful or needed. And look at just like the pelvic heaviness was there. You went on to pee your pants throughout pregnancy. The thing is I wish this wasn't common, but it actually is so common. Your journey isn't that abnormal. And women will just go on to think, oh, well, my doctor said I didn't need support, so I guess I'm fine. I guess this is quote unquote normal. But I also love that you were like, no, this is not something that I'm going to live with. I'm not going to pee my pants while I'm pregnant. I already said I wanted this. So you really listened to yourself, your intuition, and you made that call.
Yeah, no gatekeepers around here, okay? No one's telling me no. That's
Bring all the rebels to your postpartum PT. We will take you. Yeah. So tell me about like when you got started with us in pregnancy. Obviously, we hopped on a call, which I love doing. I love like chatting with people face to face to make sure it's a good fit all around. And then from there, I remember chatting with you, and you're like, "Yep, I'm in. Let's go. Like I'm in on the call. I like here's how do I pay you? Let's get going." And we onboarded you that same day, like probably within the hour. Walk us through like it was so fast, right? Walk us through like your experience working with us in pregnancy, obviously you came in with pelvic heaviness and you came in with
Mhm.
leakage. Um, walk me through a little bit more about your personal experience and that evolution, if you will.
Okay, yeah. So I pretty much have nothing negative to say about it. It's just going to be glowing for good. So it was
Amazing.
it was very like seamless and easy. And I mean, to me, like the pelvic heaviness was something that I don't even think I had a name for it until I saw one of your posts, and that's kind of like where I started following you more. Like I guess it just showed up in my algorithm somehow.
I call
But
that divine intervention, by the way. If you're listening to this and you've seen one of
yeah,
my posts just randomly pop into your feed, that's called divine intervention.
exactly. Follow them. Yes, immediately. So we like started with my like pelvic heaviness problem, and then to me the like peeing my pants and pregnancy problem was like a huge thing that I needed to deal with. And I felt like it was just very easy to find. It was like 30-ish minutes per day, and I was very dedicated to it. Like nothing was going to stop me from taking care of that. But it was just, I had Daisha as my coach at the time, and it was very, like, she was very easy to talk to. And it was, like, so nice to have someone in my pocket that I could be like, hey, I'm having this issue, or like, hey, this exercise is not working for me, or this hurts, or I can't move this way. And to be able to, like, change things, like, almost immediately was honestly the best thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad that you said that too, because I think it's, what we do is so different than the traditional, like, quote unquote, rehab model. And it's
Mhm.
almost so hard to explain unless you're in the program, right? And that's why I do
Mhm.
things like this and chat with our clients one on one, because I'm like, please tell them how different it is than traditional therapy. And so kind of what you're alluding to and saying is like the access that you had to us and our expert coaching staff and our pelvic floor therapist is
Mhm.
it's in app in your phone. You're able to just message us. We're able to make the changes in your training program without you having to like drive to your doctor's appointment or
Mhm.
drive to another appointment to be able to, save all your questions for them then. You feel like that like helped speed up the process for your healing?
I think so because it's like you can change it before I do the next workout. Like I don't need to wait another week or wait for someone to get back to me in like 2 business days. Like it's, I mean, pretty much someone responds like very quickly whenever I have a question or need to change something or things like that. And I think like being able to do it on your own time is like one of the things that like made me so successful with the programs because I can do it like when works best for me and I don't have to like schedule it around the rest of my family's schedule. And especially as a breastfeeding mom, like I only nurse my son, so it's like I have to bring him with me if I were to go. And especially like in the earlier postpartum period, that's like very difficult.
Oh
So,
yeah, and so stressful and overwhelming. Like you're at a doctor's
a lot.
appointment doing bridges or exercises, trying to feed your little one.
Yeah, and they're
Um,
burping and you're like freaking out and it's just it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Just the convenience of being able to get the support that you need at home, do the exercise you need at home on your own time. That's definitely huge for mama. So I'm glad to hear that that was your experience as well. Tell
Mhm.
us a little bit more about when you started to notice changes in the leakage and the heaviness. How far along were you into our program? What was your experience kind of going into birth as well and doing that birth prep process?
So I feel like I stopped peeing myself very quickly. Like I don't think it took very long. I don't remember exactly, but I mean it did not continue for after birth and anything like that, which was I feel like great because I like to share my workouts and things like that on Instagram especially. And pretty much every time I post something, someone is telling me they're still peeing their pants and I'm like, "Hello.
It's
You
so
don't have to do that."
crazy. Oh my gosh. And it was so crazy when you like go through the experience yourself and you know what exercise to do and you know how to make it go away and you
Mhm.
actually live that out and you're like, I don't pee my pants anymore because I did this, but then other people do. You're like, what are you doing? You can actually solve this problem.
Yeah, it's really not that difficult to take care of, I feel. Just in my case, especially. But yeah, it's like, so leading up to birth, I was like planning to have a repeat C section because that's just what they told me I had to do. So I was like, okay, well, if that's what you think I have to do, then we will be as prepared as possible for this birth, right? So I'm like working on the pelvic heaviness thing. I don't really feel like I experienced that a lot in pregnancy. I think my bigger concerns were like moving postpartum so that I could, like start exercising again and things like that. But then I had an unexpected VBAC instead of a C-section.
Which cracks me up. I absolutely love
Yeah.
that.
I feel like that's such an uncommon experience
Very
that,
uncommon. I would say
yeah,
that is not, especially when you're planning another cesarean, like the date is there, you're mentally preparing for it. The last thing that you're probably thinking is an unexpected feedback.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that whole experience to me is just like super unique. Like, I don't know anyone else that that's happened to, but long story short, I had to go, like, my C-section date was scheduled, and I guess it's gonna be long story long, sorry.
No,
But
you're good. We're
um,
here.
yeah, so my C-section is scheduled for July 5th, and then it's the week before, and then we took my kid swimming, and I was like, my ear's feeling kind of weird. Like, I think I might have an ear infection from going swimming. So let me just hop into urgent care and see what they say. So I walk right in. No one else is there, just me. They're like, yeah, you have an ear infection, and also your blood pressure is really high. And I was like, okay, cool, great. So I go out, I call my OB, my friend's with me. She's like, did you want to like grab food? And I'm like, no, because I might have to have surgery in a few hours. Like, I can't eat right now. And she's like, she doesn't have any kids. And she's like, oh, this is like serious. And I was like, yeah, it's a little serious. But so I end up having to go to labor and delivery, and they're watching me. My blood pressure's not going down. They're like, you need to stay and deliver your baby. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I'm there, and this midwife comes in, and she's like, hey, so why are you planning to have a C-section? And I'm like, well, that's just what they told me I had to do. And they even wrote in my chart, patient desires repeat C-section. Patient did not
Wow.
desire that. Patient asked every appointment if she could not have a C-section.
Wow,
And
that is crazy, but I
I
believe
know,
you because I've heard
I
this
know.
happen before where they document the patient wants one thing, but really it was more of a provider preference.
Yeah, and they're just like, no, like they're just gonna tell you to do a C-section. I'm like, okay, whatever. So all my postpartum stuff is prepared to have a C-section. So I'm sitting there, and she's like, well, we have this whole formula that we use to decide like if you could be successful with a VBAC, and like you're pretty much as like successful as you could be if you wanted to try. And so I'm like, wow, this is like what I've been watching this whole time, but I'm like 0% prepared for this. Like emotionally, physically, I was pretty prepared because of working with you guys,
Right.
which I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so there's just things with a VBAC that I guess like I didn't know ahead of time because I wasn't preparing to have that. So like I'm like, okay, we'll take it step by step, and it's like if I'm favorable for induction, we'll go that route. Like we'll just see how I'm progressing. And I ended up having a VBAC, which was, I mean, I've had a vaginal birth before, so it wasn't like a total surprise because it's my third child, but it was redeeming and kind of difficult, um, but also made me very happy to not have a repeat C-section.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it was kind of crazy.
That
But
is crazy.
yeah, but then it was like so nice to also have you all support because I could reach out and be like, hey, guess what? I had the baby and it wasn't a C-section. I had a VBAC. And you also generously offer like a 6 week, I don't know what you call it now.
It's like a early postpartum acute
Yeah.
rehab plan, especially like it's so important because especially as
Mhm.
moms are having babies, they're just like shipped off and are like, "Yep,
Mhm.
go ahead and, have your baby, come back at your 6-week checkup." And like as experts in pelvic floor rehab and also just rehab in general, we would
Mhm.
never have a musculoskeletal event happen, whether it's a C-section or a vaginal birth, and then
Mhm.
just tell this person, don't do anything for 6 weeks. And not anything, we're breastfeeding, we're sleep deprived, we're doing all of those things too, right? But
Yeah.
from a physical standpoint, no one would get an injury that is, does happen, and in birth is totally physiologically normal. However, it is still a musculoskeletal trauma to the body. But we would never have that person who got a musculoskeletal, injury, then just don't do anything for 6 weeks. I'm going to see you for a 10-minute checkup. And then, by the way, you're cleared for whatever you want to do. So, in our belief system and the way that we work with clients is kind of exactly what happened to you is we started with you in pregnancy. And
Mhm.
then we also continue with you in postpartum. So I believe we started with like a 6-month program where it's like half of
Mhm.
pregnancy and then 3 or 4 months into postpartum. And
Mhm.
that included early acute rehab, those first 0 to 6 weeks when the healthcare system is basically saying goodbye. you're all on your own, that's when we're
Mhm.
right there next to you and we're giving you a plan step by step, week by week to follow. So
Mhm.
the cool thing that you're alluding to as well is the fact that we were planning with you to have a repeat cesarean and we were prepping you for that mentally and physically and everything like that. But because you had us in your back pocket, we were also immediately able to pivot with you and give you a 0 to 6 week vaginal birth recovery plan instead of the C-section one.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like it was so nice to have because it's very like breathing focused, which I feel like is extremely important in that early period and like really focusing on like reconnecting with your core. I feel like that's something I really missed with my other two births, which I feel like would have made a huge difference in like my quality of life even as
Mm.
a postpartum mom. And I don't know, like I'm just like so grateful that I like started in pregnancy. And I think that was like, I don't know, I think a lot of people think that they have to start in pregnancy, and you definitely don't have to. Like, I think one barrier for me even would have been thinking that I'm like too far postpartum, but like, that's definitely not true.
Not at all. No, not at all. Yeah. And I love your reflections too of kind of noticing that, a lot of people think that they should wait, but starting earlier actually benefits you and having support earlier actually benefits you a whole lot more than if you
Mhm.
never contacted us in pregnancy and you didn't have that support in pregnancy, then you also wouldn't have had support during that really like spontaneous VBAC that you had all of a sudden that you weren't prepared for.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's just a testament to like getting support early and making sure that you have the people in your circle that you want in postpartum. I mean, the last thing you have 3 kiddos. So it's like the last thing that you want to be doing those first couple months postpartum is like researching people that you trust and that you think are experts to be able to support you and setting up appointments. It's all of that stuff really can be done in pregnancy, and it's best to be done in pregnancy to prepare you for postpartum as well.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And I think just as you're saying that, it's one thing that made me think about like the people in your circle and the things is there are a lot of other like similar companies in the same vein that have apps and things like that, which is like one thing I had started with years ago, but they're not customizable. And I think that that's like a huge thing that makes you all stand out is because things can be swapped out and modified very easily and very specifically for like your abilities, where you are in your journey, your specific problems and things like that. And just yeah, just what you were saying then just made me think that that's like a huge pro of to like have in your circle, and it's like it's so worth the investment in my opinion.
Thanks, Nicole. That's such a great point too. I mean, you're right. Nobody's body is exactly the same. Nobody has the same exact birth method or the birth injuries. And it is really important to have that customization and personalization. And that's how your body gets the results that you need, right? When you said, oh, yeah, the leakage just like totally went away very quickly, that's because you had customized workouts and customized education and customized planning for you and your body in pregnancy. So it's everybody's body is so different. So while one exercise might work for one person, it might totally not work for the other person, which is also what you alluded to in pregnancy. Like, oh, this exercise doesn't feel right or doesn't work for me. And it's like, great, let's change it. Let's make those pivots and changes that we need to.
Mhm.
Where for someone else's body, it might work for them. So it is really important to have that individualized approach as something that we really believe in too. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And the other thing I wanted to circle back on is this being your third baby, you didn't have early acute rehab support, a plan to follow, exercises and guidance to do for your first two babies. So, what do you feel like the differences were with your first two recoveries versus your third recovery?
Mhm. So it's interesting thinking back to my first baby because I don't really remember how I felt. Like, I know I didn't
Yeah.
have the pelvic heaviness feeling and I didn't pee my pants either. So I honestly don't really know. However, I will say that with my second birth and then starting to have that pelvic heaviness feeling, it probably did start with like my first pregnancy. Like, I think there's probably a through line and it's all connected, and I just don't remember that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I think like this, after having this baby, I've been able to be the most active. I mean, I have 3 kids I have to keep up with every day. and I can keep up with them. We run around, like we can go all day, and it's not a problem for me. They have to come along with me. Okay, it's not me keeping up with them. That's me. So yeah, like I think that that has like been a big difference, especially looking back to my second baby. I feel like things would like halfway through the day, I would just be like so tired. And I think it was like part of the pelvic heaviness and like me not being able to like support my body in the way I was supposed to. And like, yeah, it's just giving me a lot more energy, and it's like more fun for everyone, especially me. But
Yeah, I love hearing that too. I mean, it's like third time pregnancy, best recovery yet, most energy yet, strongest she's ever been because you had a plan, because you were actively exercising and moving your body and making
mm,
time for that too. And I kind of want to go into that next. It's because having you have three kiddos with you, and this is not easy to be able to find the time. We don't all just have unlimited hours out of the day. We all don't have just unlimited, finite resources and all of those things to just like have babysitters all of the time while we exercise. So that's one thing that I've been really inspired by you and like how you've shared your journey too on socials and just in general with us and our team and our coaches. It's like the kids will be around as you're exercising and you just make it happen. So obviously that's not just by accident. I would love for you to share like how did you make that possible? What needed to happen for you to be able to be consistent and create those habits?
yeah, so I think the first thing, this is probably the most important thing, was for me to understand where in my day I was going to be most successful to actually exercise. Because now, like when I was younger, in my 20s, whatever, that like I feel like I could run at night and I would be totally fine and whatever. But now it's like I need to work out first thing in the morning to really like have the most energy to put towards the workout. It really sets me up for my day in a better way. And I mean, the longest workouts are usually like 30 minutes, which it's like, so it's to me at this point, it feels very achievable. And so I'm like, I just tell my family this is when I'm doing my workout, and they see the workout shoes come out and they're like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, great, you're coming today, let's go. And sometimes there are children around, sometimes there are not, and they just participate with me. And I'll tell them like, oh, I need you to wait while I finish this, or here, get your 1 pound weights and come do the farm walk with me. And so yeah, I just make it part of our life, I guess, and they're just used to it now.
It's so important for kids to see their mothers exercising and their mothers being active. And there's even research and studies that show that if the mother is active, then the child it also will be, and reduce rates of, child obesity and all of these different factors that go into that. So like mothers exercising, not only is it impacting your mental, emotional, and physical health, which we'll get to, but also it's generationally passing down the message and the story and the narrative. Like we take care of our bodies, we aim to get stronger, we want to be active, and it's not by any like shame around our bodies. It's really inspired by fueling our bodies correctly and building strength, and then they just see that that's part of life, that's normal life for us.
Yeah, yeah, it's so important.
Is so important. And obviously, you've seen some physical changes in your journey with us. You not only went through our first program during pregnancy and that early postpartum phase, but you continued on with us for an additional year in our Strong Mom Era program, which is all about that, just rebuilding strength, dialing in our nutrition to eat whole foods and being educated in that, creating a better relationship with food. And I know you work directly with our coach, Caitlin,
Mhm.
nutrition and strength training as like a huge aspect of that. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about your idea of like, why did you transition into our level 2 program? Like, what was it about that idea of that program of continuing beyond just the pelvic floor core
Mhm.
rehab that you feel like other mothers should be also doing?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of like figuring out what your motivation is and like what you want to do. And for me, it's like I think I need an additional level of accountability to make sure that I'm doing those things, because I want to see all the boxes checked, and like I want to be like, wow, you did all your workouts. That's great. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Like Yeah, so and I think just, like, having someone else that you can talk to about the habits that you want to build and, like, the life that you want to lead is extremely important, especially in a period where you still need a lot of guidance. Like, I still like, I mean, I'm still, like, making sure my core is staying strong and all these things, and, I mean, I am only 1 year postpartum for my 3rd baby now, so, like, it's still very much, like, early postpartum to me, and I wanna make
Absolutely.
I'm not doing too much and I'm not going to injure myself and that I'm building up in a way that's like sustainable and creating habits that will last me a long time through my life.
Yeah, no, you hit on so many great points there too of like the habits, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes we can go through life kind of in autopilot and not even recognizing or realizing that we're contributing to certain behaviors or activities or whatever it might be until we bring on some sort of an accountability partner that reflects that. And of course, it comes like with you being open and honest, Nicole, like coming to the table vulnerably, being like, hey, these are some of the habits that I want to change. These are some of the habits that I want to see a difference in, and
Mhm.
having that accountability partner to work with you to help you change those habits, because changing habits is not easy, right? It takes a lot
No.
of effort, it takes consistency. And so many people in social media likes to make it seem like, oh, it just happens like in a blink of an eye, without really showing the journey of the consistency day in and day out. And that's what that commitment is, right? That's what that strong mom era journey is like saying, you know what, I am going to change these habits for a lifetime to make them sustainable and long term. What are some of the habits that you feel like maybe you are struggling with that you have seen a notice in changes in while working alongside us in this program?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is obviously staying committed to my workouts. I think that's like one of the most important habits to me. And then I have like a set of pillar habits that I try to hit every day, but I think alongside that, it's like you have to have self awareness and like forgiveness for yourself because I am me, but I'm also a mom to 3 little kids who do need a lot from me. And sometimes things for them have to come first. But my main habits are drinking like 80 ounces of water a day because we found hitting 100 was like a little bit too much for me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was really struggling to hit that every day. So we were like, maybe 80 is a better number for us to aim for, and 80 is better than 0. So
Definitely.
take it. And then getting in like more steps every day. So my average like 9,000 steps a day, just living my life. So that's like one of my core habits. And then I do have like a nutrition goal that I focus on, but just with a few other things going on in my life right now, I'm like not super focused on that, just staying like at my more maintenance level, which I do also feel like really in control of at this time. Like, because I think when you're doing this, like you are having to meet head on your bad habits and habits that aren't serving you in the way that you want them to. And a lot of that can be very emotional,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that I don't think I was quite prepared for to come across. So I feel like that has also been a little bit of a journey in itself. But I think just like knowing that I'm working a little bit on these things each day is going to serve me like in my late 30s, my 40s, my 50s, because that is one thing about your 30s is that to me it's like a do or die decade. Like it is the time you are going to focus on you and your health or you're not. So I feel like I've been confronting a lot of that through working with you all.
Yeah, and I appreciate your honesty too. And I think that that's exactly it. It's like we don't expect perfection, and nor should we, right? Because if we have this all or nothing mindset of like, I have to hit every single habit every single day, then it really is more of like that perfectionist tendency in us to feel like we're either all in, or if we don't hit one of the 5 habits, we're just totally toasted and we're just going to give up and we're going to sit down. But I think what I've learned and seen through your, experience with us is like it's the consistency, right? Is some days
Mm,
you're going to be 70%, some days you're going to be 90%, some days you're going to be 50%, but it's just that you continue to show up day after day and continue to work towards, that 80/20 lifestyle where you're able to give yourself grace. And like you said, moms, like we're busy. We have a lot going on. We're not striving for perfection, and
mm,
changes don't actually you don't need perfection to be able to see massive changes too. We talked a
mm,
lot about exercises, and the physical aspect of that. how do you feel like the physical aspect of exercises has affected you like mentally, emotionally as a mom? Because we see quite a bit of transfer over to how moms feel on their day to day when they get their movement, their steps, their exercises in versus on those days that they don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is that I feel strong. Like I can carry all three of my kids.
That's
And
amazing.
they ask me how far I can carry them, and I say a mile. I don't know if I could really do that, but yeah, I can carry all three of them at one time. And I mean, I think that like you just use the strength a lot throughout your life as a mom. Like there's those like funny reels where you're like, how does it translate to real life? And you're like carrying the groceries or whatever. But it's like, I mean, there's always things you're lifting. And I think the big thing is like endurance throughout the day where you don't like I mean, I have friends who aren't moms who are like, "Oh, I need a nap in the middle of the day." And I'm like, "Hello, let's go." Like we're at Disney World, like park from open to close. Like, come on. Like that's how I want to be able to live my life. And I think that doing like committing to the exercise, even if like some days in my workouts I can only get 50% or something, like showing up for myself and getting a little bit stronger every day and having that discipline, I think just makes me a better mom all around and a
Oh
better person.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and you kind of talked about it yourself as like that discipline. The strength training is so important, especially in our 30s as women and as mothers, like how you alluded to. I could carry all three of my children at once. That is not an easy feat, right? Like that is due to like adding more weight and adding more resistance to your workouts and building skeletal muscle. Of course, there's so many health benefits of doing that too, but a lot of times people only fixate on the aesthetic aspects of that and not just like the day-to-day functional aspects of when I add strength training in, I don't need a nap in the middle of the day. I have energy throughout the day. I can carry my kids through Disneyland. I can push a stroller all day long and be on my feet. Like those are things that translate over to like your real life day to day because you're active and because you're strength training. So those are things that we absolutely love to focus on as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes a huge difference. And even if like, I mean, I keep asking for more workouts because I'm crazy, but I feel like I like finding a good balance for yourself, I think is the most important thing. And like some weeks I can do more workouts and then other weeks I can't. And that just is how it is. But I think having my three core workouts every week is, I don't know, it's just like life changing to me. Like I don't ever want to stop doing it. Hopefully I won't have to, but yeah.
Well, we're here as long as you want, girlfriend. Yeah, I think one of the other things that I curious how has shaped you and your family dynamics as well as partner support, right? I think that a lot of times like women take on all of the roles, all of the duties, all of the things, and then they have nothing left in the tank to give themselves, right? To commit to a program, to do the strength training, to advocate for themselves, their body, their worth, why they desire to do the things that they do, why they want to make the financial investment into their body and start the program. What would you say to maybe a mom that is feeling like that? Like, oh, I don't have the time, or I don't have the finances, or I don't have, yeah, I don't feel like I'm worthy of, investing into this program or, working with somebody one on one. What would you want to share with her?
I would say that I don't think that there's anything more important than investing in yourself, especially when you are the main person who has to support your family. Like, if you can't support yourself, then you're not doing your best to support them. And it's kind of like a domino effect from there. And also because I'm dramatic, we're all just gonna die one day. So focus on living like your best life in the way that suits you. Like money will come back to you. Like there's plenty of money, there's plenty of abundance for all of us. And I feel like the longer you wait to focus on these issues, just the more they're going to compound like throughout your life. And the older you get, I don't know, like I want to be like an active person in my 50s and 60s. And I mean, maybe that doesn't mean like running marathons or anything, but like I want to be able to keep up with my grandkids and things like that. I mean, God willing, but like I don't know, I just think it's like if you support yourself, you support everyone around you so much better.
Yeah.
And that's like a huge goal a lot of moms have is to like support their families and Like, instead of them being, like, your excuse, like, let it be a reason, you know?
Yeah, let the family and the kids be the driver as well. Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
like that full cup mentality versus empty cup mentality, right? Like
Mhm.
if we fill up ourselves and we fill up our cup, then we can spill over into our spouse, into our kids, into our friends,
Mhm.
into our family. But then if we let the cup go so dry because we're just pouring out into everybody else, at the end of the day, the cup is empty for ourselves as mothers. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just flipping that thought perspective on its head and flipping that narrative of like, wait, let me fill up my cup so that I can pour into everybody else, because both analogies actually give everybody what they need and support, right?
Mhm.
And we're still able to serve and to support and love those family members. But how we go about doing that is very different. And how we go about doing that will play a huge factor into how we feel about ourselves throughout our motherhood journey.
Mhm. For
Yeah.
sure.
Well, this was so helpful, Nicole, just to sit down and be able to chat with you. I know it's been a while since like you and I have chatted face to face because you're working with all of our amazing coaches here at your postpartum PT, but it's just really fun to reflect on your journey all the way from pregnancy to early postpartum to navigating the last minute VBAC. Congrats on that, by the way. That is very redeeming.
Thank you.
And then moving full into strength training and nutrition and being able to really be a pillar for yourself, to be an advocate for yourself, to make sure that you're filling up your cup and just being an example. I always say it just takes one mom to lead the example and to be the trailblazer to make those changes and to make that investments that then gives other moms permission to look at your journey and your story and be like, man, if Nicole can do it with 3 kids, I can too. If
Yeah.
Nicole can join in pregnancy, I can too. And just hearing your journey and, transparently and vulnerably, it hasn't been perfect 100% of the time, but that's okay.
Mm.
Consistency is the most important thing. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me and letting me share my
Absolutely.
moments.
Yeah. Well, and I also want, you have a blog, right? Don't you?
Yeah, I have had my website since 2013.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
Yeah. Yeah, so my main blog is gen20.com and it's like career, self-development, life advice for 20 somethings. And then its older sister is gen30.com, which is more for moms and women in their 30s.
Okay. I was wondering, I was like, when is the 31 coming out? Because you 100% need that. So you already have it, Gen 30s, for
Mhm.
the transition of like honest, relatable motherhood type stuff, topics
Mhm.
around this and sharing your journey on that too.
Yep.
All right, Nicole. Well, if you want to check more about her blog, feel free to check it out. We'll link it for you, especially if you are in your 30s and need some support. Maybe the 20s one too. Who knows? Most of our
Yeah.
mamas here are in their 30s.
Yeah.
But we're excited to have you today and to be able to dive in deep with you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.